Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Michelle, and today we have Dean on the show who's selling his content-based site on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Dean, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hi Michelle, doing well.
Well, thanks for making time to come on today. I'm looking forward to learning more about your business, but before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of it. It's an affiliate, display advertising, and Amazon Associates business in the lifestyle niche created in August 2016. The average revenue for the business is $48,967 per month, and it makes an average of $33,639 per month in net profit. Included in this sale is a primary domain with all site content and files, 4 secondary domains with all site content and files, employee contacts, supplier and affiliate contracts and relationships, social media accounts and pages for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and YouTube, an email list with 11,500 plus subscribers, an image bank of 3,000 plus high-quality original photographs from sponsored campaigns, 2 ebooks, 6 autoresponder sales emails, a media kit, Google Data Studio reports, and a master planning spreadsheet, which includes full post lists, keyword targets, and competitor analysis. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 59001 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So Dean, now let's hear from you. What can you tell us about your background in starting and running online businesses?
Yeah, sure, Michelle. So this was actually my very first website, the first foray really into running an online business. There were a couple of others before this, but I would absolutely cringe to look at them now. They didn't progress anywhere. But yeah, so this was my very first website, which I started in 2016.
And what inspired you to start this particular site?
I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial bent. At the time, I was working in the corporate world as a recruiter, and I was just really desperate to start my own thing and get something running. And I found out about essentially content websites via John Dykstra of Fat Stacks and all ebook he had. And I was just absolutely fascinated by the idea that you could just really through time, start a business that could generate, really great profit. And I was just sort of captivated to give it a shot. So that's what I did.
It being your first business, it's phenomenal what you've managed to build. And I kind of wanted to touch upon your revenue streams a bit because you have multiple revenue streams. And the primary one is affiliate marketing. But if you could maybe walk us through some of the other ways that your site makes money.
Sure, yeah. So beyond affiliate revenue, we also have display advertising revenue via AdThrive. We also have sponsored campaign revenue, and that's essentially sponsored posts where we work with brands and deliver paid editorial content. And that's where a lot of that original photography comes from as well. We also have a newly added revenue stream, which is cost per click revenue. And we also have a minor stream, which is YouTube AdSense revenue.
Yeah, I saw that AdSense makes up a very minor portion of your total revenue. Is that something that you are looking to continue, or do you think that a buyer could basically do without that?
That's a good question. So, to clarify, that's YouTube AdSense revenue. We do the display advertising revenue on site is a bit stronger, but on the YouTube side, I think that's something that I think would be very buyer specific. For us, we struggle to be able to invest the time just in terms of our resources. But there's a platform there. There's a base for a buyer to run with the YouTube if they'd like to.
So for affiliate marketing, has this always been your primary revenue stream for this site?
Yeah, it pretty early blossomed to be the primary stream. And over time, it's definitely progressed. We now have over 200 active affiliates that we're partnering with. So, it's definitely progressed to, it started early on and very much, emerged as the strongest performer.
I was going to ask if you thought there was room to add more affiliates, but with over 200, that's pretty significant already.
Yeah, but there absolutely is room, where we get approached every day by different brands, looking to partner with us. And that sort of coincided with for every sponsored content campaign, we've also negotiated affiliate terms as well. We've always to push those terms as high as we can. And we're always, ongoing negotiating those of our strongest performers as well.
Well, this was your first site. You've had it for a little over 5 years at this point. I imagine that there's some emotional tie to it. So why have you decided to sell it now?
Yeah, it absolutely does feel like my baby. In a way, it's my first site. So the reason really is I also work in a partnership separately to this business. And I really just want to start investing my time into that partnership on a more equitable level. So at the moment, I'm investing quite a bit of time on this site. My business partner is operating on the business, but I really just want to dive over there and work together. I think him and I work really well together. I just think it's time that I just focus my energy over there. I also think I'm leaving the adult man in a really healthy and good spot. And so, yeah, I think it's just kind of time to part ways.
I think that's totally understandable. Instead of spreading yourself thin, just passing it on to someone who might have a little bit more time to invest in it instead of letting it decline. Since you started this site, what would you say was your biggest win? Like something that just worked phenomenally well for you?
A big win, just reflecting back, was definitely just performance in Q4 in general. It was definitely our biggest quarter, and just to see, the results, the fruits of the snowball in a way really coming together and continuing into Q1 this year. Just another couple of little things like just being able to partner with some really cool brands like Gap, Banana Republic, eBay, those kind of brands as well. And just seeing the team really come together to put those campaigns together was really cool to witness as well. Another thing was a really large, just technical site redesign in 2020 that I think really, it's now a custom built theme, a lot of custom elements and features. And I think it just renders it a really unique site that's, high performance and sort of stands alone on the internet.
Yeah, those are some really big wins. So what would you say was your biggest setback or challenge?
I think biggest setback or challenge is probably been just sort of understanding some Google algorithm changes. And as you probably know, Michelle, like sometimes they're really difficult to really understand.
Definitely.
But we've always just tried to react and just stick with our mission, which is, creating the very best content on the internet for the topics that we're writing about, and just continue updating content and investing our time into just making them the best for the reader. And I think over time, we just always have felt over time we'll be rewarded for that.
Yeah, I think that's really the only thing that you can do at a certain point instead of, you see all these things like really trying to do a deep dive into understanding the algorithm. And I think at the end of it, you kind of walk away a little bit more confused than you were before you even started.
Yeah.
But like you said, creating really high quality content that is relevant to the people who are coming to your site. I think, like you said, it's a long-term play, but it works out over the course of the site. For right now, where does the majority of your traffic come from?
Predominantly Google SEO traffic.
I was kind of curious because you mentioned that one of your biggest wins was just having a very strong Q4 and just seeing the snowball effect. Was there something in particular that you did during Q4 to make that happen?
Nothing in particular. I think it really is. It's a busy period for us. So, there's Christmas, there's Black Friday. But what's really rewarding is just seeing the growth year on year from 2020. And I think that's the fruits of the snowball effect. We published a lot of content through 2020 and 21, and, those start to rank. And speaking back before, some of those algorithm updates, they mainly affected some of our, I guess, non-affiliate content. So it hasn't had a hit to affiliate revenue or and that kind of thing. So, yeah, so that's been great to see. It's hard to really pinpoint exactly. I think it's just really not that. It's more of just an overall growth, I suppose, in the amount of content on the site that's contributed.
Well, I'm really curious about your ranking strategy. Do you invest much time on on-page SEO or backlinks?
On-page SEO, absolutely. Backlinks, not so much. Backlinks certainly haven't been a focus, and not an active focus at all, essentially, since probably 2017. If there's been an easy win opportunity, we've taken it. But yeah, backlinks haven't really been a focus. It's really just been a very content focused strategy. But so, for a savvy link builder, there could be a real opportunity to grow the authority and grow traffic to key posts.
Definitely. So who's handled your SEO strategy? Is that something that you've taken on personally, or have you outsourced that?
Yeah, so in terms of on-page strategy, that's certainly been my direction. And it's been sort of how we've communicated with our writers and how we'd like them to produce content. So yeah, it's been essentially myself and then trickled down through the team.
That's great. So are you doing anything else in terms of marketing for this site?
Yeah, the other things we're doing, some social media marketing. Previously, we were quite active on Pinterest, and we've remained active, but Pinterest has, wavered a little bit in terms of the ability to generate traffic. If that was to turn around, we have some odd, 87K plus followers over there. We've also got Instagram that we've used a little bit as well. So those are some other ways that we've marketed.
And what do you see as the major opportunities for growth for this business?
Yeah, so there's a few here. So I think there's definitely opportunity to further monetize high-performing articles and just think outside the box of some new ways that, maybe a fresh set of eyes will be able to sort of come up with. Same with the email list. And on the email list front, some assets being included are two really high-quality ebooks that have had produced at significant cost as a way that I feel we could really monetize that list in a good way. They're really targeted towards that list. And alongside those, we've got some autoresponder emails as well already produced for the buyer to sort of capitalize on. There's also opportunity to perform some and produce some content around some of our high performing affiliates that are already operating. So, producing new content that can really capitalize on what's already working for us. Same with some cost per click campaigns as well. In addition to that, you can also expand the sponsored post output and look at things like video advertising as well.
Well, if we can just for a second touch upon your content creation process, because I'm really curious about this. Maybe if you could walk us through how your content is created, how often it's added, how you're coming up with topics, and what your keyword research process looks like.
Yeah, so the process is split into both sponsored and non-sponsored, but it essentially runs pretty similarly regardless, except on the non-sponsored side, there isn't, brand input essentially. If I run through sponsored quickly, so once we've agreed a deal with a brand, we'll have product delivered and then the writer photographer will produce the content. We use ClickUp to assign content, and there's a very robust setup there in terms of, different stages and different duties to tick off there. But essentially, the writer would produce the content according to those guidelines in our templates and then hand them back over for editing. They'd be edited by either myself or another individual on our team who would then send it back to the writer for final editing. After that, if it's on the sponsored side, the content would go to the brand for final approval. In that area, we do try to retain that editorial independence because we do want to present as unbiased reviews and content we can, even if it is sponsored. But sometimes the brand will pick up on little things related to their brand that can be that they'd like to adjust, etc., or just point out. On the non-sponsored side, very similar process, except there's no brand involvement. In terms of who creates the content, it's a team of writers, photographers on the sponsored side, and then just writers on the non-sponsored side. And when everything's firing, probably sort of upwards of 20 articles a month is sort of the target we're looking at previously.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So it's basically more or less one post every weekday or so.
Yeah, every other day kind of thing. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And what does your keyword research process look like?
We maintain a master database, which is an asset that will be included in the sale. And that just has a list of, if we're doing any keyword research in Ahrefs, we come across like a good opportunity just through browsing or competitor analysis, we'll link them in there. Competitor analysis has been a big way that we've come up with keywords, obviously a pretty common approach, but looking at our competitors, seeing how they sort of intersect with us and where there are opportunities for us to target keywords or where we think we can create better content.
It's a fantastic resource for identifying those content gaps that you didn't even realize existed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's correct. And on the sponsored side, sometimes it'll be very much targeted, like a brand will come along and we'll just think, okay, what can we produce that would work well to generate, readers for this product? And that can take some thinking outside the box, but it's a bit more targeted in that you're kind of brainstorming.
Well, I was just wondering, Dean, what does a typical week look like for you when you're running this business?
Yeah, so it can be a lot to do, but a lot of different things to do, I'll say. But it can also be very manageable. And it can be as low as sort of 20 hours a week if the right team members are in place, as far as how I was running it. So it looked like I had the final publish button right. So that would involve, reviewing any content that's ready to be published and just doing the final check, making sure the on page is all right, making sure, everything's just according to our templates and standards, and basically hitting publish on posts. It also, for me, I was doing a little bit of editing as well. So, editing some content, pushing it back to the writers. Some of the technical things, so I was managing our developer, coming up with new ideas for, technical advancements on the sites, giving feedback on those developments and testing and that kind of thing. And those were the main things that I was focused on. The rest I pretty well outsourced. A little bit of keyword research too, and assigning some content to writers too.
You've mentioned a few times that you've got a team behind you that's helping you with this site. Would you mind running us through who you have in place and what everyone does?
Yeah, sure. So we have 2 writers, photographers dedicated. So they will strictly, be provided with content briefs and will deliver. They can deliver both sponsored and non-sponsored content. We also have what we call kind of a campaign manager / writer photographer who also does some sales. So he's reaching out to brands, closing deals, and then producing that content. We also have a dedicated just writer, and he's very category specific in one area for us, but non-sponsored. And then we also have a developer as well. And that's the makeup of the team at the moment.
So what do you think would be the biggest challenge for a buyer who is taking over this business?
I think it would be formulating a strategy around the sponsored content. It's at a bit of a crossroads right now. It generates decent revenue, but it also costs quite a bit to run that team. So it'd really be a decision point for the buyer as to whether they wanted to continue that mini business in a way. I do think it can be run itself, and it can be run in a low risk, commission only way. So, and I'd be very happy to advise the buyer as to strategy there. And in terms of some of the key hires, I think need to be made, because I do believe if it was to continue, a couple of key hires should be made to automate that business. So, I think that would be the biggest challenge. It also depends on the buyer's sort of understanding of the sponsored area. But I do think it's quite easy to understand once you get your head around it, and it also runs itself, and it runs itself very smoothly once it's set up.
And would you be willing to commit to a non-compete for a new owner?
Yeah, so for this one, that would be fine. It would just depend on what it looks like. I do plan to continue running businesses online, and do already run a couple of websites that, target very focused niches that somewhat relate to this website. If the question was around, competing by launching a direct competitor website, then that's certainly something I could look at.
And how much support are you offering buyers?
I'm very comfortable offering the standard 30 days of email and Skype support. And in fact, beyond that, I'm also comfortable offering beyond that. I really want to see the site go to good hands, and I want the buyer to be really comfortable and confident, in that acquisition. And because there are some areas like the sponsored campaigns that can be a little different that I'm learning. So I'd be very happy to offer, a little bit beyond the standard support.
All right. Well, that's a really generous offer. Are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
Yeah, my preference is for cash up front, but I'm open to considering all offers.
If you're putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
I think it's a business that has continued to grow. It's experienced, terrific year-on-year growth. It's had strong growth in traffic as well. The content is high quality, unique, original. There's not stock images everywhere. That it's majority, original, high quality photography by professional photographers. There's a lot of diverse revenue sources. You're not the whim of one or two programs shutting down and that having a huge impact on revenue. As I said, there's over 200 affiliate partners active. So, I think it's just really well placed for someone savvy to come in, implement some of those opportunities I mentioned, or their own as well, and just really take it to the next level.
And is there anything else that you'd like to share about the business that we might not have covered?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. There's nothing too much else I could think of.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Dean, for coming on and giving us a little bit more insight into both you and your business. I've really enjoyed this, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do it.
Thanks, Michelle. My pleasure.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com marketplace and search for listing 59001. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.